Hello everybody, it's Anne here again. I'm doing a take on a post-it note holder book today. I've seen in the past, quite a while back, copies of this, but they were only in cardstock. But I have made my own take on it using laminate, because I feel that if you laminate it, it's going to be much more sturdy, and you keep it in your handbag. It's got a little pin in there to keep your things. I've also put a little pocket in here, so you can put, if you've got a post-it note you want to keep, you can keep it in there. This one I made out of basically bi-directional paper. You could use it either way around, it wouldn't make any difference. But I'm going to make one today using what I would call more directional paper. On the back it's plain, but on the front, really, if you were to use it that way, it would be the wrong way round. You really need to have the anchors sort of mostly facing down or up, going your way. So this is what I'm intending to show you today. And I'm using a 12 by 12 cardstock, and you can get 3 of these out of one piece of cardstock with about, well, yes, there we go, 1.5 inches. That's all you get left over from it. That's all the actual scrap you have, but I'm sure that could come in really useful for stamping on or borders or anything anyway. So now, as I said about directional, when we put our 12 by 12 paper on, we have to cut off 1.5 inches from one of the sides to give us 10.5. You could cut each 3.25 strip and then cut the bottom off, but I thought if you cut it off all in one go, at least you've got a more usable piece of paper to possibly do something with, rather than 3 little bits and a tiny bit. So that was my logic in this. So when I cut this off, I have the direction going you normally would to take the, we just assume that this is a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I put it up with the direction that I want it to go, and in my mind this is the correct direction. Okay, and then oops, I've got it on here, sorry, I can show you that. It has the little legs that pop out. So I would then measure it to 10.5. However, if you have directional paper, such as this, then we need to turn it round 1 full revolution. So turn it literally once that direction, so that we can cut at 3.5. So we've got 3.5 going this way and 10.5 going down. Because if you were to cut it the other way around, then you would have the paper going that way, and our book we need to have going this way. So when you cut off the 3.5, put it in your trimmer and cut to 3.5, which, as you can see, this is exactly 3.5 from there. No, it's not, it's 3.25 even. 3.25 on 10 porcupines. So again, you line your paper up at the top or the bottom, however you prefer. You find 3.25, which is there, and you can make sure that it is there, and you can also double check it on the actual line coming down, so you know you've got a perfectly straight piece of paper, which is 3.25 by 3.25 by 10.25. So that's, we will use the board, sorry, in a moment as well again, but for the first moment we need to do is some scoring to get our shape of the card. I will also, while I'm at it, I'll plug my laminator in so that we can get that warming up, because it's an ancient, and get my scoring board out. And I shall do this again, as I said, in inches. Now this is I've had this scoring board for donkey's years, and so we're going to put our piece of paper up here. We're going with 3.25 that way and the 10.5 this way, and our first score is going to be at 3 1/8. So we look for 3 1/8 is the first little score line you come to after the 3. So it's 3 1/8. It needs to be scored well, but don't score it so much that you actually go through your cardstock. The next score line we've got to do is at 6 1/4. So this is the 6 1/4 mark, so that's the second one along. So 6 1/4. And then we need to, actually, I have done this wrong, I think, because let me see, that is going to be the front. So if I do that as the front, I've got the front upside down. So when you put your paper down, make sure you've got it the right way round. So that is a lesson to be learned. So 3 1/8, so it's there. We can get rid of this line here just by burnishing it. So when you do something like this, if you make a mistake, put it over the line and just burnish it down. You can flatten it down like that with your scoring tool and you won't see it, and the same with this one. So we get rid of all those lines there so you can't really see them. Sorry about that, always a useful tool. Right, so then it was 6 1/4, 6 5/8, so 5/8 is just 1 after the half. Okay, 6 5/8, and then 7. So all we have is 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines, and this will be the front, and this is the back of your book. So there we go. We take those off there, put that down there out of the way for now, and then we're going to score the lines. Now it matters not at this stage of the game which way you score your lines, whether you do mountains or valley. They just need to be scored so that they're learning how to fold as such. So that's score that line. So that's 1, that's number 2, that's number 3 coming up, and number 4 coming up. That's the middle one. That is the middle one. There we go. And so as we see, this is going to be the middle of the book, this is inside the book, and this is going to be our book, which will sit like that there. Okay, and as you can see now, if you can see it, I don't know if it's the right way around for you or not, we've got all your anchors looking vaguely like they're going in the right direction. So I still haven't switched my scanner on. Now if you didn't want to actually bother to laminate this piece of card, you don't have to, as that is my preference. And the only thing I shall do now before I laminate it is I'm going to cut a piece off from here to here so that I've got that little pocket. So I'm going to get my trimmer back in, and you can cut it wherever you like, but I would suggest that I think I'm going to cut it from about there to about there. That gives me a rough idea where I'm going. It's not all important. You can mark it if you want to, you can measure it if you want to, but I'm just doing this sort of by eye. There to about there. Yeah, that'll do. And that's the only other piece we've got is a little triangle. So I'm doing that because I'm actually going to laminate this, so it's going to look better obviously if you laminate this first, because then you can cut it all in one piece and the book is going in the right direction. What I didn't mention with this one is I haven't put anything across this. I could put a little few shells on this to make it look really pretty, actual real tiny shells. Normally if I'm giving it to somebody, I would put their name at this stage here or here, but somewhere across this part of the front of it I would put their name, and so it's actually underneath the laminating, it doesn't scratched off. If you're not laminating, obviously you can put lots of different things on, but because it's laminating and I intend it for somebody to probably put in their handbag, it's probably not to have too much fussiness on top. So whilst I wait for my laminator to warm up, which as I say is an ancient laminator, I'll just put you on pause and come back. Right, I do need the actual scoring board out again. Not scoring, actually this board you can use to score because it has a grey one you can put in here, but I don't think I'd bother to use that very much. I think what I might do, if I was going to use it as a score tool, let's put something like this a little bit in. I think I'd just use a regular little, one of these things, a ball tool, and just go through like that there. And maybe with a thinner one. That doesn't come up too bad if I was to use it as a score tool. So, but anyway, I've got a scoreboard, so there's no point doing that. I need to cut off a piece of laminating folder, a little bit bigger than this. As you'll see, this will do one, it won't quite do 3, but it certainly will do 2. So I'm going to cut this. This is at 3.25, so I'm going to cut this down to around, let me see, how much more do I want of it? I don't need it too huge, so it's going to be, let me see, about. That's about 3.5. I'm going to go for 3.5. That's a quarter each side. So I'm going to line it up, cut it down. Okay. And one other thing I actually failed to do before I actually laminate it, the laminator is now heated up, you'll be pleased to know, is to just cut a little tiny piece off this edge here, because that is going to fold into this centre here, and obviously if it's got a laminate sheet on it, it's got a little bit extra here, so I'm going to cut probably about 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch, something like that, roughly, off there. I've done that by eye. I don't know if it's straight or not, but never mind. So we've got our laminating sheet here. I always like to put the file in that I'm cutting into the very top here, because then it's easier to get it straight. So I'm going to put that in there and just bring it down a little bit. I don't want it completely at the top. Actually, I wouldn't mind it completely at the top. And I'm going to bring it down as far as I can to the bottom, so that actually, when you're doing things like this, it's always quite useful to put a piece of black card under what you're doing when you're laminating, because that way you can make sure that everything is pretty much straight, and to me that looks pretty much straight. I've got that bit on the bottom that's nicely tucked in there, and then, oops, it's not straight now, I've actually mucked it up, which is typical. So it's in there like that, and that is about there. That's still not straight. So let's go back in. Should have left it as it was, because it was perfectly straight when I first put it in. So there, we know that the lines are straight there. Right, that looks straight to me. Now I'm going to put this in just a piece of copy paper, an old piece of copy paper. I think I have one here. It's actually a document I'm using, but never mind, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to fold that in half, and I'm going to put that in there, because you can hold it in there and it also stops it getting jammed in your actual laminator. So I'm going to pop this in here. It does take a few minutes to go through this laminator, because as I say, it was a very, very cheap one from a place called Action in France. It's probably a bit like the pound shop in England. Well, no, not quite, because nothing's a pound or a euro. Very little that's a euro there, but it's a similar sort of thing. So I shall just waffle on until this has gone through, or I could actually put you on pause until it's gone through, and then you don't have to sit and listen to me waffle. Right, so here it is. It's to my laminator off and slide it to the side, all nicely laminated. So we just have to cut off these pieces here and this bit here if you want it a bit shorter. When you cut things off, just be careful that you don't cut too far off up to the edge, otherwise it's going to unravel or come apart in your bag or wherever you keep it. I have to say I love this because to put a post-it note in your bag, they usually come apart and they're not very secure and they get really scrubby, I have to say. Well, they do in my opinion. Maybe you're more careful than I am, but I find that's it. So I'm just going to take my watering machine again, and I'm going to line this up on a straight line and give it about 1/8 of an inch on that edge to cut all the way up. Hopefully that has been fine. I can actually cut possibly a bit more, and then I'm going to line this up like this again with roughly 1/8 of an inch. Just take it to the top of those lines. That's a very useful trick. So there, we've got that, and I'm going to actually just take a smidgen more of this because I think it's a bit too wide. And then I could take a bit more of this top edge if I wanted to. I think I'll take a tiny bit of it because it is just a little bit long. And if I've obviously turned it over just to make sure that that's fine. So line everything up nicely, and then just, and there we have it, the beginnings of our book. Right, so here we go again. We know that this here has to be a mountain fold because this is going to be the inside front cover. So this is the front cover, this is the back cover, and this is the inside front cover. So let's get rid of those bits of laminate. So give it a good old bend. You could probably do it on both sides, it would help there, just to give it a fold. Now we are going to stick a little bit of red liner tape along here and along here just to make sure it stays in place. And in actual fact, as you can see, that that actually only just, let's do this. This one also is going to be a mountain fold, folding in. And as you'll see, once I've done that one, that only just goes in there. So this is the reason for cutting that bit off. So that's there. Okay, so that one's going to be a mountain fold, and this one is going to be both a mountain and a valley fold. So I'm going to do it first of all in that way. This is the middle part, so I'm going to do it like that first of all, and then I'm going to do this one as a mountain fold here because that's the back page, and give that a really good crease with my folder. Things like that, you can do it on both sides. Now the reason I say about this one here, we've got this one fold in the middle. This fold is actually going to ultimately be a valley fold and a fold and a mountain fold. And the reason for that is we have to make this little space for the pen. And as you can see, we actually then slot this down. So we have, this becomes the mountain, and this becomes mountain, valley. So we have to take a piece out. Now this piece here depends on your pens and where you fancy it. I like to put it nearer the top. You can put it in the middle, but there's no measurements doing for anything. This, all you have to do is fold in between the score lines of the three score lines at the back. So you've got the 6 1/8, 6 5/8, and the 7 inch. So fold the middle part and give it a good squeeze, and there, wherever you feel like it, bearing in mind that this is the top. Okay, this is the top. So I'm going to have it about here. So I'm going to cut from the edge of this folded edge to this crease hit line here, and it should appear at that crease line there because they are symmetrical. So I'm just going to take a little snip with my scissors right into that line. It's my ruffle scissors that I use for glue. Shouldn't really be using these. And then I'm going to take another one just about there. You can measure it if you like. You can put it where you like. I don't know, this is about, I haven't actually measured it, it's about 2 centimetres roughly. So now here comes the strange part. You need to push that bit out that you've cut, so that has to become the mountain fold, and then these other 2 bits have to become the valley fold, so then they have to go that way and that way. Those 2 go that way and that way, because you're going to stick these 2 pieces down to the back page. Oops, and it's a bit slippery. So this middle piece here has to be pushed through and become yet again another mountain fold. So that's basically what's happening. I hope you can see that. I hope I haven't gone out of camera. So there's your valley and your 2 mountain folds. Okay, so then your pen can slide in there nicely. Okay, so right, I'm going to first start off by I use red liner tape, and I'm going to use it on the back, towards the back cover. So you need to put it on, sorry, this piece here and this piece here, but do not, whatever you do, put it on that piece there. So I need my sticky glue scissors, and I need to find, oh there it is, my red liner tape, and then find the end of it, and I'm going to put it on here, from here to here. I'm not going to try and stick it on the laminated part, so it's just on the card area. And then again on this side, try and cut it nice and square if you can, because it helps with the next bit. From there to there, get it as close to the fold as you can. Oops. Which is why I say don't put it on the back page, because if you have to put it on there, you're going to do it all over there. So I don't know whether I'll put a second piece on there or not. Let me just see. I'm going to take this off and take this off, and I think just to give it some more strength, and it's not quite as wide as the, doesn't it drive you mad? I love red liner tape, but it sticks everywhere. So I'm just going to put another piece, oops, on the top bit, so it's actually up to the top fold, so that it's completely covered. So I'm going to go just up to that fold line there. Stick, stick, stick. As I say, keep a pair of scissors left spare for sticky old tape, because there's nothing worse than trying to cut paper with scissors that you've been using for cutting anything gluey, because obviously, let's stick that up there, they're going to be gluey and tacky and horrible. So let's stick that down there, stop that falling off, stick that down there, make sure that it's really firmly laid down. Oops, somebody's just come home, so excuse the coughing. I thought I was going to get this done before he came back, so never mind. So there we go, and then we're going to fold this bit here down. We're going to push that back through again. Don't forget that doesn't need to be this side, that's got to be the opposite side, and this has got to be folded down on those score lines and really given a good burnish. There we go, and that's made that, make sure that that's really stuck there. And now we need to put some red liner tape along here and along here. So again, from there to there and cut. Oh. And just pull this piece up here so it can go over it, and from that edge up to that edge, and in this case you can actually cut at an angle to follow your card there. So all I need to do now is just stick some red liner tape over the back of this post-it note. Oh, it's always so difficult to find the end of these things, isn't it? Never mind. So piece there, oops, piece there, piece there. I usually do it in about 3 places and one down the middle probably. There and there. Oops, there and there.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I'm popping out in 5 minutes.
Okay, bye. Sorry, that was my husband. I told him as soon when he came in just then that I was recording and not to make any noise. So he has to then ask me if I'm recording. Never mind. So there's the red liner tape on there. Oh, sorry, I keep coming out of view. I keep forgetting that you can't see from down there what I'm doing anyway. Squish that all on there, take it all off. Take off all the red bits. Oops. That's not down. This is why it's important to actually lay, certainly lay it down firmly. There we go. Oops, bits of red liner tape everywhere. It's terrible stuff, isn't it? It just absolutely is so static, it's not true. Just make sure it's stuck down properly to get that off. And then we just have to get our book and make sure that we've got the back and the top at the right way round. And then we just have to not quite too close to that fold and not quite too close to the top, so you've got a little bit around it all the way. That looks fairly central. And there you have your nice neat little book, and you can stick this pen in it, and I just clip it at the back there so it doesn't fall down any further, and I think that looks really neat. If you want to write someone's name, as I say, do it before you do the laminating, because then it's held underneath the laminate and it can't pull off. Or if you don't want to use the laminate, then just follow the instructions, excluding putting it through the laminator. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this little video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And thank you for looking, and please, if you like, please like and subscribe and share with your friends if you wish. Thank you very much indeed. Bye for now.